Welcome to pattern making class. I'm your college instructor, Annette Julie, fashion designer and production pattern maker to the garment industry. And today in pattern making class, we're going to be working on radiating darts from the neckline. So you're going to need your pattern making tools and some pattern making paper. You need a paper scissor, pens and pencil, some tape, 2x18-inch clear plastic pattern making ruler, your basic bodice, one dart at the waist. I always use a hip curve and some pattern weights. And here's our pattern paper. This is the alphanumeric, so you've got little lines and cross marks. And we're going to start by placing a grain line. And then we're going to trace off our front bodice block. We're going to place our grain line right there with our block against the edge. I'm going to line this up and I'm going to weight it. And if you don't have pattern weights, you can use little like soup cans or little tuna cans. You can also use some magic tape, but I don't like to use it on my hard paper block. And you could be using a soft paper pattern right now, which would be fine. So let's go ahead and trace that off, starting up here at our neckline. And then our shoulder. You can always use a ruler against any straight edge to help with your tracing. Now we're going to go down the armhole. Armhole notch. Side seam, waist. With the waist dart, we're using the basic one dart bodice block. We're using the front. This dart goes up to the dart tip, and it's pointed towards our apex, which is the center of your bust mound. And before we yank this up, let's make sure we've copied it off. Make sure you've got everything in there. That looks great. Now we can lift it up and set it aside. We're going to connect our dart legs from the dart tip. This is the lower point. This is the tip, and up here, this is our apex. This is also known as the bust point. We drew one grain line, but we can always draw the second one here, parallel with our center front. Arrows going both ways to denote non-directional fabric. And what we're working on today is radiating darts. It's going to be from our neckline. And we're starting with our basic bodice. Great. Always good to put your name and the date. And we're ready to go. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to draw a line, and we're going to pick the spot mid neckline. So you can go ahead and measure your neckline. Mine's about 4.5. So I'm going to go about 2 1/4. That's just halfway in between there. And if you wanted to, you could open up this neckline first. That's a choice. You could open the whole thing by 1/2 inch, an inch. We start with our block. It's a little bit tight in the neckline. You'd open it up like that. Look, I just did it. I went around and opened up that neck. Like I said, you don't have to, or you can make it bigger or what have you, but there we go. That'll be our halfway mark. So we've opened up the neck. And if I do this to the front neckline, when you're eventually working on your back pattern, better trace off your back neckline and open that up a 1/2 inch too. Very important that the shoulders and necklines are matching. Now we can take a line from our bust point or apex right up to that midpoint. And that's going to be our slash line. Okay, now we're going to continue that line down. But what we need to do is we need to connect this dart leg here, where the notch is, up to the apex. And this notch here, up to the apex or bust point. So we've extended the dart lines, and these are now the slash lines that we're going to use to close this dart and open up and make a new selection of darts in the neckline. So let's continue on. Here being the apex or a bust point, I'm just going to denote that so we can see it. Here's the end of the line here that I put into the neckline. This can be whatever length you want it to be if you have a bigger block or smaller block. Also, if you've dropped the neckline down further, you can do that as well from a lower neckline. So right now I have about 8.5. So I'm going to divide that line in half. That's important. Divide it in half, and I'm at 4 1/4. Bring that line out perpendicular to the line, about 1 inch on both sides, and mark it. 1 inch, there's the end. 1 inch, there's the end. Out an inch, out an inch. And this is what we're drafting here now is going to help us to make our darts radiating. And radiating means like a sunburst where it's coming out. They're going to radiate from the neckline. And bring this down to the apex. And then up to our neckline. But we just have one slash line right now, and we need to go on either side of that 1/2 inch. So let me go out and mark out 1/2 inch. Okay, right here. And on the other side of that line, the slash line, 1/2 inch. So I'm here. Now I'm going to connect those lines back to where we went out 1 inch. This is 1 inch, 1 inch. Here was 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Connecting out to 1 inch. So this is where we want to get before we actually start cutting the pattern. Apex, dirt tip, you have the long lines up to the apex now. Then you had your slash line all the way up to mid-neck. We divided it in half and came up with this point. Go out an inch, go out an inch. Connect that back to apex. Connect it back to apex. Then here on the neckline, we moved out 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. Connected from the 1 inch line to neckline. 1 inch line to neckline. So we are ready to go ahead and cut this out. Let me cut out my waist. And it's not totally necessary to cut out the whole pattern, but since everyone is viewing it on a screen, I really like the contrast between the pattern and my table, and you can see all the lines easier that way. That was the armhole. Now we're cutting out a straight line. That's the shoulder. And I get to now go down and remove that excess off the neckline, that 1/2 inch, and open it up so I don't feel choked with my neckline. Throw that away. And what we're doing is we're cutting the whole outer edge off. So after we do our slashing and spreading and our manipulation, then we would go ahead and add seam allowance and the facing, a collar, a sleeve, etc., whatever else you need to finish the whole pattern to make a full garment. There, that's cut out. That looks good. Now we're ready to do our slash and spread, and we're going to need another piece of paper. Let's go ahead and slash our long dart legs from the waist up to the apex of our bust mound, right there. Let's go ahead and slash the other one. We're going past that dirt tip, and this triangle, we don't need this anymore. Throw it away. Now we're coming to the neckline section of our radiating darts, and we can cut down our diagonal line. And here we go, back in towards the apex. You might be able to leave that attached, or if it comes off, that's okay. I'm going to cut the center line. This is the straight line. You can try to leave it attached or not. Now we're going to cut our last diagonal line, starting at that 1/2 inch from the neckline. Aiming towards the apex. Don't even want to breathe. It's still all attached by some miracle. So it doesn't always work out like that, and that's okay if it doesn't. We're going to turn this around. And we have done the slashing part, all the cutting. Now we're going to do the spread. So this is where we close the bottom and we spread the top. And we will position these somewhat evenly and continue to develop our darts. And right now I'm going to grab some tape and I'm going to tape the waist dart together just to secure things. Great. And now I'm going to put this on another piece of paper. I think I can use a smaller one. Always trying to conserve. Yeah, I'll use that one instead. It'll just fit on there, I think. Let's go ahead and make another grain line. I'm going to take my pattern and I'm going to place that the best I can with matching on the grain line I just drew. Grab some tape. Let's tape that in place. Let's tape a little bit more of the pattern down. And I've taken and used a piece of paper that's big enough for me to add the seam allowance I need to right now. Great, now we're looking at the shoulder and the neckline. Let's go ahead and tape the center front neckline. Great. Now we're ready to go ahead and tape the other pieces down, but we want to make sure that they're somewhat even. Let's see here. I've got about 1 3/4 inches there. 1 3/4 inches there, that looks nice. And then about 1 1/4 inches in the middle. I think I can move these. I could space it like that, but I think I'm going to space these out a little bit more. Put my ruler down, see what I have. 1.5 inches, 1 5/8, about 1.5 inches. There you go, that's pretty good. Let's tape everything in place. And when you're slashing and spreading and doing dart manipulation, you can use a lot of tape. So if you need to conserve your tape usage, you could always take it and split it down the middle and have a smaller piece to work with. Make it last a little bit longer. Or take very small pieces. Okay, well, I think I might be good with tape for a little while here. Now we're going to go ahead and draft the darts inside of the slash areas that we have allowed for them. But we want to back them off from the apex. They're not going to go down that far. So the middle dart, I'm going to back that off at least 1 inch. Could be 1 1/4 for a bigger bust mound size. I'm going to mark the middle, and I'm going to bring that up to the neckline. There you go. Same with the other dart leg. Up to the neckline. Now the next two darts, they don't need to go down as far since we are drafting some radiating ones. And I'm going to have them stop here at the 1 inch line that I had made. I'm going to bring that line across. Bring that line across. I'm going to find the middle. And bring the line back up to the neckline. With the middle. Back to the neckline. So this was 3/4. I divided in half, 3/8 and 3/8. But if you have a different size block, or if you've dropped the neck differently, it could be a little different. So now we're going to draw one more dart over here. Going to take the middle, connect that up to the neckline, the middle, up to the neckline. Looks good. Again, this is about 3/8 and 3/8. That's how I put that in the middle there. Alrighty. Now we can draw our back off points 1/2 inch away, the middle again, and this would be used for a drill hole, which is a professional marking that they actually really drill a hole through fabric. And then the stitcher would sew the dart legs together 1/2 inch past that drill hole on each one of those dart legs. Well, these look really good. Let's see if we can attempt to fold the darts in our neckline. This is going to be tricky. Since they're radiating, I'm going to fold them all at this point and see how this turns out. And I'm going to take these dart pickups and put them away from our neckline. So I'm going to crease the dart leg. And I think for gravity's sake, this dart leg I'm going to put facing towards the center front. The dart pickup is towards the center front for this one. Take a little bit of tape. Take that in place. Let's take the next dart leg. This one I had to fold where it doesn't have a point here. It's got a point way down there, but I've just sort of left that open just so that we could capture the neckline. Take another piece of tape, magic tape, if you put it on the back of your hand, hopefully. And then now, take our last dart, and I'm going to have all 3 of these going towards the center front. If it was on my shoulder, I'd have them go towards the low point of the shoulder. But it's on the neckline, so we'll have it go towards the center front. If the dart pickups are too large, they could always be cut away. A little bit more tape. Now we can see we have the whole neckline, but we need to smooth everything out. So I'm going to take the happy medium between those lines and smooth that out. Okay, so here I've gone up and here I've gone down a little bit to give us our continuous line. You could use a tracing wheel or you could cut the neckline and put another piece of paper underneath. And since I'm not working on a mat right now, I'm just going to show you the easy way how to cut that neckline. Then we can open it up and take a look at it. Let's go ahead and put another piece of paper under there, and we'll smooth that neckline out, and we can give everything some seam allowance. A little bit more paper. These radiating darts from our neckline are looking great.